Ah, that sound. You know it, right? The sizzle of meat hitting a hot grill. It's like a universal language, a signal that something good is about to happen. But what if I told you that this simple act is way more than just food? It's a ritual where we're actually cooking up our history, our politics, and our very identity. So let's fire up the grill and see how it all works.
And yeah, that's the big question we're tackling today. How does cooking over fire become something like a flag you plant in the ground, a declaration of who you are and where you belong? We're going to see it happen everywhere, from the plains of Argentina to the backyards of South Africa and beyond. All right, first up, let's talk about the unwritten rules of barbecue. Because wherever there's a grill, trust me, there are rules. Who gets to cook? Who's allowed to give advice? The answers to those questions? Well, they reveal this whole hidden social script that tells us who's in charge.
And the contrast here is just fascinating. I mean, look at Argentina and South Africa. Barbecue there is basically a command performance. You've got the asador, or the braai master, and they are the undisputed king, the sole authority over that fire. But then you shift over to a Korean barbecue, and it's the complete opposite. It's democratic, it's hands-on, everyone is grilling together, it's not a spectator sport at all, it's a total team effort.
And get this. This quote just shows you how serious these roles are. In South Africa, they joke about having a national braai code. Questioning the braai master isn't just rude, it's like a major violation of cultural protocol. So here's the takeaway. The roles we play around the fire, they're a direct reflection of much bigger social structures. So we've got the social order around the fire down. That's the who. But that's really only half the story. Now we got to talk about the what, the meat itself. Because that choice, it is rarely, if ever, an accident. It's a decision that's been shaped by centuries of economics, environment, and just plain necessity.
Okay, so to really get this, there's this really useful idea called cultural materialism. The core idea is actually super simple. A lot of what we believe and how we behave, it often just boils down to practical real-world stuff. Our traditions aren't random, they're basically clever solutions to the problems our ancestors faced. And this is the perfect example. Cultural materialism helps explain one of the biggest food divides in the world. In India, a super-crowded agricultural society, a live cow is basically a walking tractor and a mobile dairy. It provides way more value alive than it does as a one-time meal. So the sacredness of the cow? It's a brilliant cultural adaptation. Meanwhile, you go to Argentina with its huge, wide-open plains, the Pampas. Cattle ranching was just incredibly efficient. Beef wasn't just food, it was the engine of their entire economy, which made it the most logical and abundant thing to eat. So, it's like the philosopher Feuerbach said, we literally become what we eat. These real-world conditions don't just fill our stomachs, they shape how we see ourselves. For one culture, the cow means life and sustainability. For another, it means prosperity and strength.
And nowhere is this whole transformation clearer than in Argentina. This is the amazing story of how a rugged cowboy's simple meal was deliberately forged into this powerful symbol of national unity.
So to understand this, you got to get this one key concept that historians call an invented tradition. Basically, these are practices that feel ancient, like they've been around forever. But really, they were often created, or at least repackaged, at a very specific time in history to solve a very modern problem, like, creating a shared identity for a new country.
And boy, did Argentina have a problem to solve. In the early 20th century, there were massive waves of immigration from Europe. So much so that by 1914, nearly a third of the entire population was born somewhere else. The country was this mosaic of different cultures. So how do you build a nation out of that? You need a story everyone can share.
And the solution they found was to rebrand the gaucho. This guy, this Argentinian cowboy, was once looked down on by the city elites as like a backward symbol of the wild countryside. But he went through a complete marketing makeover. Through popular books and poems, the gaucho was transformed from a social problem into a romantic folk hero, the true, authentic soul of Argentina.
And the epic poem Martín Fierro was a huge part of this. It basically gave the gaucho this noble voice, framing his rugged independence and his deep connection to the land as the real spirit of the nation. Suddenly, he wasn't a barbarian anymore. He was the bedrock of Argentina itself.
And this is where it all comes together. This is the final step. If the gaucho is the national hero, then his food, well, that has to be the national dish, right? The asado, the super simple way gauchos roasted meat over an open fire, was picked up by the very same elites who used to look down on it. It was promoted as this timeless ritual that connected every single Argentine,
from the new Italian immigrant in Buenos Aires to the old, established families, all the way back to this newly created, authentic path.
But look, this whole process of forging your identity in fire, it is not just an Argentine story. It happens everywhere. All over the world, communities draw lines in the sand. Or maybe it's better to say they draw lines in the sauce to define who they are.
Just take the United States, where barbecue is this landscape of fierce regional loyalties. In the Carolinas, their flag is planted firmly in whole hog pork, and it's drenched in this sharp, tangy sauce of vinegar and pepper. It's a flavor that basically screams historical purity.
But then you just head west to Kansas City, and the flag changes completely. There, identity is a thick, sweet, smoky sauce made from tomato and molasses. It's rich, it's complex, and it's designed to coat absolutely everything from ribs to brisket. And then you've got Texas, where they strip it all the way back to the bare essentials. A lot of the time, it's just salt and coarse black pepper. That's it. For them, the identity isn't in the sauce. It's in this deep, almost religious respect for the beef itself, slow-smoked for hours until it's just perfect.
And this language of fire, it's truly global. I mean, in the Philippines, a whole roasted lechon is the ultimate symbol of a celebration. In Peru, the Pachamanca earth oven connects people today back to their ancient Incan heritage. India's tandoor uses this insane heat to create iconic flavors. And as we saw, the South African braai is so important to their identity, it has its own national holiday.
So this brings us all the way back to where we started, but now with a whole new way of looking at it. The fire, the meat, the rules, they're all just ingredients in a recipe for who we are. Which kind of makes you wonder, right? The food that feels like home to you, the meal you crave more than anything. What story is it really telling about you, your family, and your place in the world?